Welcome to Heart and Hustle, where love meets mindset. I'm Courtney Ryan, and I'm here to help you level up your heart, your hustle, and your life. Today, we're diving into something that most guys are curious about, but very few understand clearly. And that is how women actually communicate desire without directly saying it. Because here's the truth, a lot of women want to be intimate just like men do. But they've been conditioned not to appear easy. That doesn't mean they're playing games, it means they're being strategic. And if you don't know how to read between the lines, you'll miss the signal entirely. So, let's talk about the real language women use when they're interested in sleeping with you, but don't want to come right out and say it. We should hang out just us this time. Now, on the surface, this can sound pretty casual, almost like a friendly suggestion, but I want you to really pay attention to that last part, just us this time, because that tiny addition, that's where the real meaning lies. That's where subtle female communication kicks in. When a woman says this, she's being intentional, even if she delivers it with a smile and makes it sound lighthearted. This is how women often test the waters. It's her way of feeling out where you stand, what you're thinking, and whether you're going to pick up on the fact that she's trying to isolate the interaction and shift it into more intimate territory. It's not always about sex in that exact moment, but it is about creating the space where sexual energy can flow, where connection can deepen, where she can see the real you, one, without distractions or the social buffer of a group setting. If you've been hanging out with her in group situations, maybe with mutual friends, coworkers, or in social settings, this sentence marks a transition. It's her way of changing the dynamic. She's trying to see you as a man, not just a friend. Not just one of the guys, but someone she could potentially share intimacy with. A lot of women don't feel comfortable making the first move directly, so instead they do it in subtle, socially acceptable ways. This phrase is a green light, but only if you're tuned into what she's actually saying underneath the surface. Now here's the part that most guys miss. She's not just inviting you to spend time with her. She's inviting you into a space where the energy can shift, where you can be more vulnerable, where she can let down her guard. In group settings, women tend to keep up appearances. They manage their image, they stay in control of how they're perceived, and they don't let too much out. But when she says, just us, what she's really doing is removing that filter. She's giving you a chance to see the side of her that she doesn't show everyone else. Think about it. If a woman wasn't interested in you romantically or sexually, why would she want to be alone with you in the first place? Why would she want to strip away the group dynamic? Women don't isolate time for men they're not at least curious about. That's a fact. She's not going to sacrifice her time and comfort just for the sake of another friendly hangout, especially if she's already seen how you are in a group. So when she says something like this, it's because she wants to create space for something more, and she's hoping you'll be bold enough, grounded enough, and smart enough to feel that. There's also an emotional layer to this. By saying just us, she's not only opening the door to physical closeness, she's also asking for your attention. Full attention, not distracted, not split between friends or notifications, but a focused version of you. She wants to know if you can hold a conversation without needing validation from the crowd. She wants to know if you can handle silence, if you can flirt with your eyes, if you know how to sit next to her on the couch and not make it awkward. She wants to feel seen, not just looked at. And maybe most importantly, she wants to be in a space where she can explore the chemistry between you without having to explain it to anyone else. In a group, if she gets flirty, someone will notice. If she laughs too hard at your jokes, people will talk. If she touches your arm or leans in too close, there will be whispers. But when it's just the two of you, that all goes away. It's freedom. It's a safe zone for her to experiment with closeness, eye contact, playfulness. All the things that build intimacy, without judgment. And here's where confidence matters. How you respond to that suggestion says everything about your awareness. If you react like it's no big deal, yes, sure, sounds cool, you might miss the point. But if you respond with grounded energy, maybe with a knowing smile, something like, I'd like that, just as sounds good. Now you're matching her energy. Now you're validating her without making it heavy. You're showing her that you get it, that you can read between the lines. You also need to recognize timing. She's not going to say this on day one. Usually it comes after she's already gauged that she's attracted to you. She's already noticed how you treat people. She's picked up on whether you have social confidence, whether you're calm in a crowd, how you carry yourself. So when she finally says, just us, it's a calculated risk. And she's hoping you're the kind of guy who's emotionally intelligent enough to notice it's a signal. But let me be clear. Just because she says just us doesn't mean it's a guaranteed hookup. It's not a promise, it's an opening. The difference between the guys who move things forward and the ones who end up in the friend zone is how well they recognize the opportunity without forcing it. She's giving you the chance to lead, but in a way that feels safe. That's the feminine way. She's not going to spell it out. She's going to create the space, lower the wall, and let you walk in if you're attuned enough to notice. When a woman says, "just us," what she's really doing is stepping into her feminine energy, gently, subtly, but with intention. She's creating a container for connection. She's allowing the idea of intimacy to enter the room, even if it's never spoken out loud. She's watching how you handle it. And in that moment, you're either rising to the occasion or proving that you're just another guy who doesn't get it. I feel really safe and comfortable around you. That sentence might sound simple, but it holds so much weight, especially when it comes from a woman. When a woman says this to you, she's not just being polite or throwing around compliments. She's giving you a glimpse into her emotional state, into the trust she's building with you, and into the possibility of something deeper, even something physical. Because for most women, safety and comfort are prerequisites for intimacy. If she doesn't feel emotionally or physically safe around you, that door never opens, no matter how attractive or interesting you are. When she says she feels safe, she's talking about more than just her physical environment. She's not just saying, "I don't feel threatened." She's saying, "I can let my guard down." That's a huge deal, because a lot of women walk through the world constantly on alert, scanning for red flags, managing how they present themselves, trying not to be misunderstood, and protecting themselves from guys who are too aggressive, too pushy, too entitled, or too unaware. So when she tells you she feels safe, it means you've set yourself apart from that. It means you've created space for her to be herself, without judgment, without pressure, and without fear. Comfort goes hand in hand with safety, but it runs a little deeper emotionally. Feeling comfortable around someone means she doesn't have to perform. She doesn't have to be perfect. She doesn't have to put on a persona or keep you at arm's length. When a woman feels comfortable, her energy softens. Her walls start to lower. That doesn't mean she's automatically ready to sleep with you, but it does mean she's considering the possibility. Because comfort is where trust is built, and trust is what creates the space for real intimacy to grow. If you're the kind of guy who respects boundaries, who listens without interrupting, who doesn't try to constantly impress or dominate the conversation, chances are you're creating that comfort without even realizing it. Maybe you maintain calm eye contact without being creepy. Maybe you speak with a steady, relaxed tone. Maybe you hold space when she talks about things that are personal, or maybe you just don't rush anything. All those things send her signals that you're grounded, that you're emotionally stable, and that you're not in a hurry to get something from her. That's what safety looks like to a woman. And it's also what builds attraction in a much more powerful way than surface-level charm ever could. What most men don't realize is that women aren't always drawn to the loudest, most confident guy in the room. They're drawn to the man who makes them feel calm, who makes them feel understood, who doesn't need to constantly prove himself. That's what creates that "I feel safe and comfortable around you" moment. It doesn't happen because you said the perfect thing or wore the perfect outfit. It happens because you showed her through your actions, your energy, and your presence that you're not like the others, that you're emotionally attuned, that you respect her pace, and that you're not threatened by vulnerability. This phrase is also often a test. Women will sometimes say it just to see how you react. If you respond with cockiness or try to instantly escalate things physically, she'll feel like you didn't really hear her. But if you acknowledge it with maturity, maybe just by smiling and saying something like, "I'm glad you feel that way," you reinforce the feeling. You prove that you're not trying to capitalize on her comfort, but instead that you value it, that you're willing to protect that feeling, not just use it as a stepping stone to get what you want. A lot of women have had experiences where they let their guard down, only to regret it later. Maybe a guy seemed safe in the beginning, but as soon as she opened up, his energy changed. Maybe he got impatient. Maybe he started pushing for more. Maybe he acted entitled. And once that shift happens, the damage is done. Her nervous system remembers it. Her mind locks into protection mode again. So when she finally finds someone who genuinely makes her feel safe, it's not just a compliment, it's a signal of trust that's rare and fragile and important. Women also express attraction differently than men. For many women, emotional safety comes before physical desire. If she tells you she feels safe, it often is her way of saying she's attracted to you. Not just for your looks, but for your vibe, your energy, your consistency. Because safety creates the emotional foundation that makes physical intimacy feel right, not pressured, not forced, but natural and exciting and mutually desired. This is why some guys get confused when they hear things like, "I don't usually do this, but," or "I just feel different around you." It's because that sense of safety lowers her resistance, not in a manipulative way, but in a real, organic way. She lets herself explore the connection because she feels like you're someone who will handle that vulnerability with care. If a woman says she feels safe and comfortable around you, Don't overlook it. That is one of the clearest signs that she trusts you, that she enjoys being close to you, and that she sees you as someone she could potentially go further with physically, emotionally, or both. She may not be saying it with flirtatious words, but she's speaking volumes. She's telling you that you've passed the unspoken tests, that you've created a container for her feminine energy to relax into, that she's not on edge around you, that her nervous system isn't in fight or flight mode. And for most women, that's everything. You should come over, we can watch a movie or something. On the surface, this might sound like a chill, no pressure invitation. But make no mistake, there's much more going on under the surface here. That casual line, especially the little addition of or something, is often packed with subtle meaning. It's one of the most common, yet misunderstood signals women give when they're interested in intimacy, but want to keep it low key without putting everything out there too directly. The movie is just the excuse. It's the safe, socially acceptable placeholder that gives her a reason to invite you over without saying exactly what she's thinking. Saying, "Come over to watch a movie," has become almost code. A way for her to signal that she wants one, on one time, behind closed doors, without coming off like she's making a move. And then that little addition, or something, that's the most telling part. That's the moment where she's opening the door just slightly to possibility. It's non-committal on purpose. It gives her room to back out if she changes her mind, but it also gives you the chance to pick up on what she's really trying to say. For women, attraction and intimacy aren't always expressed directly, especially when they don't want to be judged or misunderstood. A lot of women are still navigating cultural messaging around what it means to be a good girl versus someone who's too forward. So instead of saying, "I want to spend private time with you because I'm attracted to you," she'll say something softer, something coded, like this. It protects her image while still creating the opportunity for closeness. She's testing the waters, watching how you respond, and giving you an opening to move the interaction forward. Not aggressively, not with pressure, but with confidence and sensitivity. Now, if you're invited to her space, her home, her apartment, that's already a significant step. Women don't typically bring men into their personal environment unless they trust them at some level. She's inviting you into her world, her vibe, her energy. It's not just about watching a movie, it's about seeing how the two of you interact without other people around. No friends, no crowd, no public distractions. Just the two of you. That shift in environment changes everything. It creates privacy, and privacy is where deeper intimacy, physical or emotional, can grow. And she knows this. She's fully aware of what it means to invite you over. That's why the invitation itself is already a signal. She's not doing it for nothing. She's doing it because she wants to see how it feels to be close to you. She wants to know if the chemistry she feels around you in public carries over in private. If the tension is real, if it builds. She might not have decided for sure how far she wants things to go, but by saying, "We can watch a movie or something," she's leaving room for that spark to happen naturally. Pay attention to tone and timing when she says this. If you've been on a couple of dates and things have been going well, flirty touches, long eye contact, deeper conversations, and then she drops this line, it's usually because she's ready to take things to the next level, but in a way that still feels safe and in her control. She's not saying, "Come over and let's hook up." She's saying, "Let's see what happens when it's just us with no expectations in a space where we can let our guard down." That's a delicate balance. She wants to feel desired, but she doesn't want to feel objectified. She wants the connection to unfold, but she wants to know you'll respect her boundaries in the process. What she's looking for in your response is awareness. If you respond too eagerly or with obvious sexual expectations, she might pull back. It'll feel like you only heard part of what she said, the physical part, and ignore the emotional or relational context. But if you accept the invitation with calm confidence, maybe something like, "Yeah, that sounds nice. I'd love to spend some time with you," you're reinforcing the feeling she's going for. She doesn't want a guy who makes it awkward. She wants someone who can sit next to her on the couch, press play on Netflix, and let the moment build naturally. Someone who doesn't rush it, but who also knows when the vibe is shifting and how to respond to it without hesitation. She might sit a little closer. She might lean into you. She might give you that look, the one that holds just a second too long. These moments are quiet signals. And if she didn't want to be there with you, if she didn't feel attraction, she wouldn't have extended the invitation in the first place. The movie is background noise. What she's really doing is creating a low-pressure way for physical closeness to feel normal, and for both of you to explore the energy between you without having to say it out loud. If she's wearing something a little more relaxed, maybe comfy, but still cute, that's a sign too. She's making an effort, but she's also trying to keep things casual. She wants you to notice her, but not feel like she's trying too hard. She's inviting comfort, but still hoping for connection. If she offers a drink, dims the lights, or suggest sitting somewhere more cozy. All of those things are unspoken invitations. Again, none of it guarantees anything will happen, but it's about setting the scene where something could happen, if it feels right and if you're reading the moment correctly. She's watching how you move, how you respect her space, how you read her energy, whether you're nervous or calm or cocky, whether you can be close to her without needing to instantly escalate, or whether you can allow the moment to simmer. She's not just inviting you over to watch a movie. She's inviting you to show her who you are when the masks come off and the room gets quiet, whether you understand nuance, whether you're emotionally mature enough to navigate that space with confidence and respect, whether the or something turns into something more, or if you miss the signal entirely. I don't usually do this, but this sentence might seem like a simple disclaimer or something women say just to sound polite, but it actually reveals a lot about what's happening beneath the surface. It's one of those lines that women use when they're crossing a boundary, not necessarily in a bad way, but in a way that feels a little unfamiliar or even vulnerable for them. And they want you to know that. They want you to recognize the fact that this isn't their typical behavior, that this moment, this choice, this interaction, it's different. What's so interesting about this phrase is how many things it's doing at once. On one hand, it's softening whatever she's about to do. It's creating emotional cushion. On the other hand, it's signaling trust. It's telling you that she feels something unique with you, something she doesn't normally feel, at least not often enough to act on. And most importantly, it's a subtle way of protecting her own reputation, of keeping herself from feeling like she might be judged, by you or even by herself, for stepping outside of her usual emotional or physical boundaries. A lot of women have grown up hearing messages like, don't be too easy, don't give it up too fast, or make him work for it. These messages are deeply ingrained. They're tied to respect, to image, to the idea of being relationship worthy. So even if a woman feels real, raw attraction in the moment, even if she's emotionally into you and physically ready to explore something, she might still feel the need to frame it in a way that separates this choice from how she normally behaves. She doesn't want it to look like this is something she does with just anyone. She wants you to know that you are the exception. When she says, I don't usually do this, but she's often preparing to do something bold. Maybe she's inviting you in. Maybe she's kissing you first. Maybe she's opening up emotionally or sharing something vulnerable. But whatever it is, she's feeling slightly exposed in that moment, even if she's also excited. That phrase is her way of softening the moment for herself. She's saying, please don't think less of me for this. Or, this isn't who I am all the time. It's who I'm being with you right now. And that's powerful. Because if she didn't care about how you see her, she wouldn't bother saying it at all. It's also a test of sorts. When she says this, she's watching your reaction. She's gauging whether you're going to handle the moment with care, with maturity, with confidence. If you laugh it off or tease her in the wrong way, you might break the fragile safety she just gave you. If you respond with arrogance, like, yeah, right, I bet you say that all the time, you'll instantly make her regret opening up. But if you respond with a calm, warm, grounded energy, maybe with a smile and a quiet, I hear you, or even just a moment of reassuring eye contact, you reinforce the trust she just placed in you. You make her feel safe for going there. There's something deeply feminine about this phrase too. It's not logical, it's emotional, it's expressive. It's about the feeling of being swept up in a moment that overrides old rules and mental frameworks. It's her way of saying, this isn't calculated. I'm just following what feels right. And for women, that's a big deal, because so often they're operating from a place of caution, watching out for red flags, protecting their hearts, keeping a grip on their image. So when she drops that line, she's letting go of some of that control. She's allowing her desire to be seen, her softness, her trust. There's also a cultural layer here, because no matter how much society progresses, there's still a lot of shame around female sexuality, around women being direct about what they want, around women enjoying themselves without being labeled. So this phrase becomes a way of distancing herself from that judgment. She's saying, I know what this might look like, but I want you to understand this is different for me. It's her way of keeping both her dignity and her desire in the same sentence. She doesn't want to feel like she's breaking her own code. She wants to feel like she's bending it for someone who's worth it. Sometimes this phrase comes after a drink or two, in the middle of a night that's already feeling more intimate than expected. Sometimes it comes when she's sitting closer to you than usual, when the music fades, when the lighting is low and the air between you feels charged. It can even come after a long conversation where emotional vulnerability has already been exchanged. When she feels seen, understood, safe. That's when the attraction starts to feel like more than just physical. That's when the connection feels too real to ignore. And this phrase becomes a bridge from thinking to feeling to doing. It's also a kind of disclaimer, not just to you, but to herself. She might say it to preserve her sense of control, Or to manage the emotional risk, she might be reassuring herself that she's not acting impulsively, that she's making a conscious choice, even if it's out of the ordinary. Women often experience internal conflict when desire and values collide, and this sentence is how she reconciles that. It's how she tells herself, this is okay because it's rare. The mistake most men make when they hear this is assuming it's just a line, like she's trying to manipulate you or make you feel special. But most of the time, it's not that at all. It's honest. In a feminine, emotional way, she's giving you a peek into how she's processing everything. She's telling you, without spelling it out, that she's stepping out of her comfort zone and trusting you to guide what happens next. She doesn't say much, but her body language speaks volumes. That's the thing a lot of men overlook. They expect women to be obvious, to spell everything out, to make their interest crystal clear through words. But feminine communication is rarely that direct. It's layered, intuitive, and often unspoken. For many women, especially when it comes to desire, their bodies speak more honestly than their mouths ever will. And if you're not tuned into that energy, you'll miss everything that's actually happening right in front of you. A woman can sit beside you and not say a single flirtatious thing, but her proximity, her eyes, the way she moves, the softness in her posture, all of that is telling you something if you know how to read it. When she's attracted to you, her body will naturally lean in. She may face you fully, knees angled toward you, even if you're in a group setting. If she crosses her legs and the top leg is pointed in your direction, that's a subtle directional cue. She's telling you, without even knowing she's doing it, that she's connected to your energy and not anyone else's in the room. Her eyes will linger just a second longer than necessary. Not too much to be obvious, but enough to feel intentional. She might glance down and then back up at you. That's often a shy signal of interest. She's showing vulnerability, softness, and openness without needing to verbalize it. Her pupils might dilate slightly when she looks at you, especially in a dim setting. She's not trying to seduce you overtly. Her body is simply reacting to her level of comfort and attraction. Her breathing might change, become slower or deeper when she's near you. These are primal cues, subconscious, instinctual, and they say more than any pickup line ever could. Sometimes she'll touch her own neck, collarbone, or lips while she's talking to you. That's not just nervous fidgeting. It's often a form of self-soothing that also happens to draw attention to the areas of her body that are linked to sensuality. She's not doing it on purpose. Her body is just reflecting where her mind is starting to go. If she plays with her hair, especially if she's twisting it slowly or tucking it behind her ear, that's often another signal. It's a way of engaging with her femininity, a way of grounding herself while also pulling you in. She's showing that she's in the moment, that she's relaxed, focused, and subtly drawing attention to herself without needing to say a word. Her smile will change too. A polite smile is quick, small, and controlled. But a genuine smile, the kind that comes when she's really feeling you, is wider, softer, more relaxed. Her eyes will light up. She might laugh a little more easily around you, even at things that aren't particularly funny. That's not fake. That's her way of bonding. Lauder lowers defenses. It's a social cue that says, I feel good around you. If she's finding reasons to stay near you, to keep the conversation going even when there's a natural endpoint, that's her body language saying, I'm not ready for this to be over. And of course, there's touch. Women don't casually touch men they're not at least a little interested in. A light touch on the arm, a playful push on the shoulder, a quick hand on your chest when she laughs, these aren't accidents. They're calculated moments of closeness. She's watching how you react, testing how it feels to be near you, seeing if the chemistry is mutual, if she allows you to be physically close, sitting hip to hip, brushing arms, letting your knees touch. That's an even clearer sign. If she pulls away, it doesn't always mean she's not interested. Sometimes it means she is interested, and it's too much too fast. It depends on the energy you're giving off. Her voice might change around you, too. It may become a little lower, a little softer, more intimate. She's not doing it consciously. Her body is simply responding to the comfort and chemistry she feels. She might slow down her speech, pause more often, or use a warmer tone when talking to you versus how she speaks to others. These shifts are subtle, but they say a lot. When a woman is attracted to you, she becomes more present, more tuned into the moment, and her body reflects that presence. Even how she reacts when you leave can be telling. If her energy dips, if she suddenly gets quiet, if she asks when she'll see you again, even if it's casual, she's trying to maintain the connection. She's not going to beg for your attention, but she wants you to know that she noticed your absence. She may fidget with her phone when you're around but not texting. That little disconnect between her words and her actions is important because women are socialized to not seem too eager, so they'll often say less with their mouths and more with their behavior. The key is not to overanalyze every single movement, but to feel the pattern of her energy. Is she consistently engaged? Does she stay close? Does she lean in when you speak and mirror your movements? That mirroring is one of the clearest signs of attraction. When someone is in sync with you, physically and emotionally, their body naturally mirrors yours. If you take a sip of your drink, she might do the same. If you cross your arms, she might adjust her posture too. It's subconscious connection. Her body is sensing with yours, and you'll feel it more than you'll logically observe it. The feminine is naturally receptive and expressive. She may not make the first move verbally, but her energy will always tell the truth. When a woman feels safe, curious, or drawn in, her body will communicate it through proximity, softness, stillness, or touch. If she's quiet, don't assume she's uninterested. She might just be waiting for you to notice what her body is already saying. So fellas, here's what you need to understand. Women are constantly balancing desire with perception. They're often just as interested as you are, but they've been taught to express that interest indirectly. The key is to respect that subtlety, read the signs with maturity, and most importantly, never rush it. The moment you prove that you're safe, confident, and emotionally grounded, you unlock a level of intimacy that most guys never even get close to. So if you've ever been confused by mixed signals or unsure whether she's really into you, this is your roadmap. She may not say it directly, but if you know what to listen for, the message is crystal clear. Thanks for watching Heart and Hustle. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And remember, it's not about playing games. It's about understanding the unspoken.